Alright guys, so here's your next update on Kronk. This was during the second week that he was here, and basically between the last video and this one was just a lot of pretty much what you're seeing now. I would use my dogs to have him hang out close by, and sometimes I'd recall my dogs over to me and then kind of reach over and try to touch him, and actually usually just wait to let him touch me. Sometimes he'd sniff my hand, but very, very wary dog. So in this next clip, you're going to see we suddenly had a huge breakthrough. This is going to take place like first thing in the morning, and pretty much he'd come over and kind of sniff my hand a few times. You know, he would come forward, sniff my hand, and leap back, and then come forward and leap back. Like, you know, we always played this yo-yo game. And once I was able to just get a really quick scratch on his neck, he was kind of like, oh, that's nice. And then you see what happened. And what's really interesting about him is, and I found this out, you know, after this particular day, we would do a lot of this, like being able to touch and pet a lot first thing in the morning or at night when it was dark. But in the middle of the day, he was like a not completely different dog, but he was just so much more wary and so much harder to get him to come close by at all. And you can see even here, he would kind of like step back and kind of have to process everything and be like, oh, I'm not sure. And then I could entice him back over, and, you know, I'd toss some treats in his food bowl there. Actually, no, I didn't. That's a leaf. I guess he was just checking it out like, hey, lady, where's my breakfast? And even there, he tried to move away from my hand, but once I could touch him, he was like, oh, hey, this is nice. So in this next video that you're going to see, this is when the first time I tried to get actually, no, this is the second time I tried to get a leash on him. The first time I tried rigging up a little bit of a trap, did not work. So what I decided to do here is, because I was able to touch his neck so much, and actually in that last video, that's what I was trying to do a lot of, is touching his neck, getting him comfortable with my hand being near his face and his neck, because I knew that the next step would be, I've got to get a collar and leash on this dog so I can catch him. So what I decided to try here, because you know, he's really not the kind of dog that you could just slip a slip lead on. Trust me, I wish I could, but you've seen in the videos how very much he just yo-yos back and forth, and especially at the sight of a leash or a slip lead, he was like, I ain't coming near you. So what I ended up doing is I put a little collar in my hand there. It's actually in my left hand, and it's this little rope collar, so it's easy to ball up, and that way he couldn't see it. And my brilliant thought, or so I thought, was if I can start touching his neck again like before and be able to get him to hold still, if I can sneak my hand under and around him and clip this thing, because it's just got a little snap kind of like on a dog leash, so it's really simple and easy to clip, and it's a slip lead style, so he wouldn't be able to slip out of it. Okay, well, later in the video you'll see him slip out of it, but there's a reason. But my thought was, if I could just snap this on and get a leash on it, I've got him. And, you know, at least then I don't have to try to get anything over his head. I'll clip it around his neck when he doesn't know I'm doing it, and then just, bam, quick like a cat, clip my leash on it. Yeah, it didn't work that way. But you can even see in this video, look at how different he's behaving compared to the one you just saw. This is later on the same day. You know, in the middle of the day, he just was so much more wary. And it's not just, yes, I have the long line beside me and whatnot, but this is how he had been in general. Even though this was the first day I was able to really touch him a lot, he was always more comfortable getting close by early in the morning or late at night when it was dark out. And then in the middle of the day, he was much more wary about coming close, and usually would only do it if I had my dogs out. So here I'm just doing lots of calling him over, letting him take food from my hand, just kind of chilling. And also, him eating from my hand, this was nothing brand new. I think my last video talks about this. The only way he had been eating his meals at this point for a week was from my hand. And this is how it usually went. He would just yo-yo back and forth and take a bite and leap away. So again, he's not acting any differently because the leash is there. He really can't even see the leash. He can't see anything in my hand. And I was trying to keep myself in check and make sure I was playing it really cool and laid back, because obviously there's going to be some nerves involved, like, okay, gotta catch this dog. But anyway, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here in a moment. What you're going to see is when I was able to touch him and then, get him kind of frozen in place. It's hard to tell, but I actually did get that collar around his neck. I got it snapped. And then I made the mistake of I had taken a step or two away from my leash as I was trying to get closer to him. And then all of a sudden I turn and I see, oh shit, I'm too far away from this leash. I can't reach it. And I had a split second to decide what to try to do. And I decided maybe, if I grab this leash, he's definitely going to be gone. Maybe if I hand him this bowl of food, he will take a bite long enough, be interested long enough for me to just reach over and grab my leash. And yeah, didn't happen. So the reason that slip lead slipped off is because I purposefully was holding it in a way so that it wouldn't tighten around his neck if he tried to back away, because I knew I wouldn't be able to hang on to it in that case. And I did not want him to get loose with that on his neck, because I wouldn't want to risk it getting caught on something and then him actually choking. So in that case, I wanted it to come off if he struggled, because I knew the alternative is he probably would get away from me. I wouldn't have a way to hold on to it well enough to not lose my grip on him. Now, after the way the morning had gone, where he had let me pet him so much, I was pretty hopeful. But at this point I realized, okay, we're going to have to take a step back, because he's not nearly as okay with this as he was earlier. So now what I'm doing is I want him to get comfortable again with me moving my hands around him. So I'm putting the food in my right hand there, and then I'm purposefully, as he's eating from my hand, moving that left hand. And so initially I want that movement to be to grab more food. I want him to go, oh, hey, it's not a big deal. Now you see I'm putting my left hand beside his head and kind of wiggling my fingers around, again, because I want him comfortable with that hand moving around him, because that's what's going to have to happen when I need to put that collar on. So now I'm scratching his neck, and you see once I start doing that, he kind of pauses like, oh yeah, oh, I remember this, it's kind of nice. But he's still not totally okay with it. So we just do lots of repetitions with this. Obviously you can see I don't actually have that collar in my hand anymore, but there, I'm putting it in my right hand right now. So I'm able to just kind of fold it up. And now what I'm going to do is have him eat from my left hand, and then just pet him and scratch him with the right hand. And if I can get him to hold still long enough, slip it under his neck and go from there. And then you'll see what I was talking about, the moment that I moved too far away from the leash and screwed myself over. So anyway, now I'm just working on enticing him here, and he's kind of like, no, because he's the ultimate tease. And here we go. Comes up, scratch, scratch, scratch. Good boy. Move too far from the leash to do anything, but I'm not thinking about it, because I'm just thinking about scratching this dog's neck. He's eating. I'm scratching, and then you'll see my left hand just reach under and pull that collar up under his neck. And at this point, obviously he's not eating food, but he's like, oh yeah, okay. And he also tends to kind of freeze sometimes, and I was hoping to use that to my advantage. So he kind of froze, and then I'm like, oh shit. Okay, dog food bowl, and he's like, no, bye, see you later. And you can tell what word I whispered right there to myself. Not very thrilled with that. So I ended up trying to bring Belle out and see if I could just get him, not even necessarily trying to catch him at that point, but can I get him close enough to me to move this leash around and get him comfortable? And he was not having it. Usually I could rely on, if Belle was out there with me, he would definitely come and play, but we had broken some trust. So he was like, no, screw you, lady, I'm going to hang out back here. And that was it for my first attempt at putting a collar and leash on this guy. So I'll have another update coming for you soon to show you what the next part of the game plan was. So check back.